All right. Good evening. This is September, right?
Yeah.
September Dimbo 2019 is going to be Jimmy Cusic. He's going to make a inside-out candle holder, candlestick.
Correct.
And I'm going to let him do it. Jimmy's one of our charter members.
No, not quite. 2004.
He's been here a lot longer than I have, but he's one of our premier turners. He's going to show us how to do an inside-out candlestick. Jimmy.
Okay. I don't need it. All right. I've done this in the past, and I've had a PowerPoint that I would show, but I decided to forego that, and we'll just kind of jump into it and show you all the details of how to go about. Probably the first thing you need to do is figure out a design, some kind of design you want. But before we go there, I'm just going to show you what I've done with the inside out, and you can get more elaborate. I think it was Jimmy Arledge, when he was the program director, brought somebody in to do inside out, and it was like, oh, I think I could do that. So I did some baby rattles and did a few other things. So this table, which is kind of abused a little bit, I'm going to set it right here so you can get a shot of that. This was one that I did, and I actually did a prototype out of some 2x4s just to practice the cuts that I needed to do and understand, can I really do something this large? So this came out pretty well. This was the actual size right here. This was the actual size of the blocks, and so I did a pummel cut with skew and then just attached my feet to that. So here you can see this is the actual pedestal, and these it'll flex. They may not look thin, but that wood will flex. So that was kind of interesting doing all that, and then just attached it to the base. So I was kind of proud of that, and got second place at the state fair on it. So somebody else liked it too. That's the largest that I've done. I did do a cake platter for one of my youngest daughter when she got married. I did a cake platter, and this was roughly 8 to 10 inches tall, but it was much wider. And so I had blocks, I think, were at least 3 inches a piece, which gave you a 6-inch diameter. And so that was kind of a bell shape type. So the next one I did was a candle holder like this. And so it's the same concept. You've kind of got the ribbons running down it. This has a copper patina that you can apply to the wood. And you can see it's got a wax finish on it. But it's the same concept. It's no different. You cut your blocks of wood, and then you'll either tape them together or you'll use hose clamps to clamp them together. And size doesn't matter. This was one of the early ones I did. And this is just a little goblet. It's the same concept. I just kind of used the little teardrop design. I guess teardrop design like that. But somebody saw that, and what's that thing in March? Not medieval times. It's south of Dallas where they do the... Yeah, somebody said I could sell these for $70 a piece. So I've never tried it, but that's pretty good return on your investment there. So anyway, those were all fun to do, and the concept and the method behind doing it is all the same. So you can go from very small to very large. Okay. All right. So, I mentioned design, and some of these baby rattles, I'll just pass these around. This one's got a bad glue joint. When you do the glue joints, you want to be sure you get your glue, but you want to be careful about not getting glue squeezed out on the inside, because it's real hard to get the glue squeezed out on the inside. So that's a bad glue joint. This is just a design with a marble in it rather than a wooden ball. That's a design with handles on the both sides. And then this is my famous Texas A&M. I forgot to put the ball in it when I glued it together. So when you turn those and you finally get the final design, that part, the inside part of that is really sharp. And you want to be sure that when you turn those, that you sand each one of those insides out, because they will cut. Now, I made one for my grandson when he was born 7 or 8 years ago. By the time he was 9 months, he had totally destroyed it. It's something about getting the ball out of the inside that they just, you know, he broke the rattle part off of the handle, and then he somehow dug the ball out. So granddaughters aren't so bad, but grandsons, it was a achievement in destruction. So, okay, when you start out, you will want to cut 4 blocks of wood, and what I do, and these are just some examples, but you'll cut 4 blocks. I run them through the table saw, and so that they're perfectly square. And if you have a planer, you could run it through a planer, turn it 90 degrees, run it back through the planer again. So you can take any type of lumber, just cut it up through your table saw, and then run it through your planer. You want to get them perfectly square because they're going to sit on top of each other. And what you will want to do, let's see, here's an example, I think. So, here we go, Ken, I know I'm moving it around. How's that? Okay. So what I do here is I just mark the sides so I know which part is my inside and which is my outside, so I can just keep track of it that way. And then what I use is when you put this on the lathe, these points have a tendency to want to spread those, and so I just take a little Forstner bit and I just kind of hollow that out so that the point doesn't spread that out. Okay, let's talk about design for a moment. So I'm just going to do kind of a simple teardrop design. A couple things that are important to note is you can see on this example right here, hopefully this shows up, I have do not pass. So this is my line running across here. If you go past that line, you've just cut your piece in two. So you have this much room to work with, which doesn't seem like a lot, but remember, you're cutting both sides at the same time, so you're cutting down. This is kind of what my design's going to, let's see, there it is. Here's what my design's kind of going to look like when I'm finished. You just kind of be a big teardrop. But this is what it's going to look like when I'm cutting this piece. So it's kind of going to look like half of that. That show up? Not very well. There. Yeah, so it's kind of going to look like half of that. This is the piece right here we're going to be cutting out. Okay. So what we're doing tonight, we're going to make a candlestick. This is going to be the pedestal piece. And fortunately, I had made this earlier. I kind of had some unfortunate disasters this week, so power's out to the house. But I'd made this. This will be the base, and I had made this for a larger candle, and that will be the top. So we're going to make this the pedestal for that. So these are 3/8-inch holes that I've drilled out, and we'll probably put a little 3/8-inch tendon on either side. Okay. So I also use this tape. I like this tape. I got it at I think it was Lowe's. Where they sell it or not there anymore, I don't know. But it's real thin, and I'll just tape them up. But if I don't feel comfortable that it's holding, which typically it holds pretty well, I'll use the hose clamps. And so I put the hose clamps on, and then I actually tie wrapped the end of the hose clamp so it's not flopping around. This one's okay, but that one was, well, that's not very good. I just pushed it off.
Is that double-sided tape?
Yes, that is double-sided tape. Yep, well, shoot. I can't get this piece back on, so that was not supposed to happen. Yeah, I use the double-sided tape like in between here. Like I'll put a strip here and then mount the other two pieces on top. So I'll put a strip of tape here, another strip of tape here, and then mount these on top. And if you wanted to, you could put a strip of tape on either side here so that these two pieces were stuck together. It's just a level of comfort on how well you want these stuck together. I've used the tape before, and it works pretty well by itself, but the hose clamps just ensure that everything stays together. And it's not like you're going to be spinning this at breakneck speed either. So, yes, ma'am. That sounds like a personal problem. You could use, yeah, cable ties. Yeah, those would be fine too. So, yeah. So, I know I've got a not a large, but a small investment in hose clamps. So, in fact, this one, I did this for a demo that I started, and it's been so long ago, I forgot what I was doing. So I think what I was doing was based on these few markings, I think I was doing something similar to the larger candlestick. So this was going to be my base, and this was going to come up to be the smaller part of that. So you can see I've kind of already started half of that already. So, okay. So you can see here, there's I've got my do not pass line right here that you want to be aware of. And then there's two really important cuts. The first one is your initial cut here, because this is going to be, this cut right here is going to be these seams on the inside. Here we go. Right in here, and you want those to meet up nice and square on the inside. And again, as you glue these up, you want to be sure you get your glue, any squeeze out, cleaned up in there as well. So, yeah, your do not pass is halfway. If you go past that, you're going to have a really thin cut. So. Okay, let's get started. Let's see if this, oh, that's great. Okay, now I can see. Yeah. Okay, this line is half the distance of one of these blocks of wood, so that's a good question. That's a good question. So this block, I just measure half of that block and then just draw my line. So that's where that's derived from. Yeah, good question. So, okay. So probably the best two tools I like to use would be the detail gouge and the skew. And I'll show you the skew once we get a little further along. So it should be good. All right, so what I'm going to do here, my first cut is going to be taking this section out here, and it will take a little while to get down there, and I'll show you that in just a second. So power on. We're spinning the right way. That's good. And all right, we should be good. All right. So you can see my line right here. This is about 3/4 from here to the end. And I want to leave myself a little tendon that will fit into the base up here. All right. All right. So I'm going to start at like a 90 degree and just work on making my cut. Now that's, if you see, that's going to want to splinter out. Okay, so I've got my initial cut here, and it's right at our line right here where we want. So I'm going to slowly come in here and make a nice gentle curve. But at this point, we haven't hollowed anything out, not till we get past cutting this whole section out here. So let's just start making some sawdust. Whenever you go to classes or something, and I've been in the class, I always tell you, use the tool you're most comfortable with. And that's usually the one that you'll practice with the most. So it's the same way with this. You know, I'll use the detail gouge, but I like to use the skew. And we'll come in here and just kind of smooth it out a little bit. All we're doing here is just roughing out our design. So you can kind of see I've sort of got that little teardrop shape working right here. Okay, so let's see where we're at here. Okay, so obviously our do not pass line is gone, but this little handy depth gauge I made shows where it's at. So we can kind of see here, if we look here, and does that show up? Yeah, we still got a ways to go. So we've still got a lot of wood that we can take out. Okay, so it's deeper than, while it doesn't look deep there, it no, you don't have to go to exactly half, but the more shallower this is, the thicker this piece will be. Okay, so, and then again, a lot of it's just design too. The example that Ken had kind of on the initial banner part of that was somebody that had done like ribbons, and they had really thought out their design process so that the ribbons looked like they would flow through. In fact, there's a lady in England that did a lot of, she would do inside out, and then she would flip them 90 or a quarter and do it again and then flip it back, and I was like, oh, that's too much for me. But I bought the video, and then I gave it to Mark, and it's in our library. So you could check that out and look at it. But she gets into a lot of detail on flipping it back and forth and things like that. Okay, so let's just keep on working here, clean up our design. We'll go a little bit deeper. So, and again, this is your important cut right here. Because this is what's going to define how that base looks like. Okay. Looking pretty good. Okay. Now you can see right here, this area right here is where our design is going to start at the top. So that would be, where's an example? That would kind of be this section right here. So kind of to your point, Sue, where this is thicker, where I don't remove as much wood, you're going to have less of a gap right here. Now you want to be mindful you don't get your knuckles in there because it will smart. Don't ask me how I know that. So you can see here we're just okay. Now, Ed Huesland taught me this, and I use it quite a bit. You take a credit card and you run it along the side here, and that'll tell you where your flat edges are, because the eye doesn't really like flat edges. So your credit card will tell you where your edges are flat. So you want to get a nice, gentle curve going here, because that's more pleasing to the eye. So that was a tip I got from Ed that I use a lot. So again, we're just kind of working on the design, and I just want to put a nice, slow, gentle curve in. It's always fun going uphill with the skew. That's always a hard cut. There we go. Okay. That looks pretty good. All right, I need to, where's my pencil? So I'm not sure if you guys can see it. I need to clean up something along in here. That's kind of ugly. I've got a few tear outs along in here. especially along in here that I need to clean out. And this is what I do. If I have an area that needs some work, I'll just mark it up because I'm going to cut it off anyway. But it lets me see where I need to cut. Now here's where I had that little catch that backed out, so I'll need to get rid of this right here. And I've got plenty of wood up here, so we've got a lot of room. That's not a problem. Let's look at our depth real quick. So again, this is our here's our do not pass line, and if we look here, we are getting pretty close. And if we look here, we're fine. We still got enough room, so we're doing good. Okay, let's see. I need to clean up here and clean up there. And you see, this is bad. I've got to chip out right here, and that goes back fairly deep. That's not good. I'm just going to have to live with that. But what's going to happen is you'll see that chip out when we flip all these 90 degrees. That's why this cut is so important, that you use a nice sharp tool and get a clean cut. Okay. So okay. Now I need to clean up this area right here so I can get a nice, smooth curve. There we go. Okay, and just a little bit right here. All right. So once you get this design down to what you're happy with, you'll then want to sand it down just a little bit. Take out any little wrinkles or anything you might have in there, and then you're done. So let's, and then you'll want to finish it. You'll want to put finish on the inside before you glue it together. So these cuts right here, where I had that catch, these will be on the inside. Those won't show. We're not too concerned about those, even though that happened. These are nice smooth cuts in here, and I got one little wrinkle in here I need to clean up. So, and then you can see that piece right there. That's unfortunate. Okay, so pretty good. I just need to clean up this little section right here. And then we'll have our design done, and pretty much my depth is 80 grit. Yeah, I've had to use that a time or two. Your 80 grit gouge. So, okay. Just a little bit to clean this up, and we should be done with this part of it. So you just want to make a nice clean cut. Let's see. Let me try this guy. Okay. All right. That's almost worse. That's not good. Yeah. 80 grit's kind of tough, though, when you're bouncing around on that corner. Okay, that looks better. All right, so yeah, that could still use a little improvement, but that's the idea. Is you want to make you a nice gentle curve, and get that all set up there. So, so then the concept, or the next stage. And see, that tape's holding together pretty well. And no, carpet tape is a lot thicker. I have used carpet tape because that's all I could find at one point. But yeah, that may have been what that was vinyl flooring. But I've never seen vinyl flooring tape that size. I mean, that's what you get. So anyway, that was a nice size. It's really thin. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, it could be back there. Yeah. Actually, it was a few years ago since I got that, so I don't remember. I just found it on one of the aisles somewhere. So, well, I'm not going to worry about taking this apart. That's kind of boring. So anyway, what you basically do then is, you got the overhead. Yeah. So you'll take these apart, and then where I've got the number 3, you'll just move those to the inside. So you just flip everything 90 degrees. And when you do that, you should end up with something like this. Ta-da! So you can see here's my teardrop shape. Somewhere on here, well, I guess, oh, I was going to say my do not pass line, but it's on the inside. That's why you don't see it. So here's my numbering where I numbered that one. So, okay, so let's mount this guy up. And so now we'll actually turn the outside of our inside out. Okay. Yes, yeah. He was asking if this piece here will resemble this when I'm done? And the answer to that is yes. It's the same design. It's this teardrop type shape, and this will be very close. So, okay. I just use regular wood glue, Type Bond wood glue. So, okay. Tied up. We're spinning the right way. And, oh heck, let's just use the big one. Now, the skew is made for this, and the story I tell is the first time I did this, I was making my daughter a candlestick for her wedding, and I made it out of Coca-Cola. I had this all completely done. I'd turned a tendon on the end of it and had chucked it all up, and I was happy as a clam, just taking shavings off back and forth until my detail gouge got caught inside there. And needless to say, I still haven't found all the pieces that went everywhere. It was just, I mean, it happens that fast, and so I found the skew rides on top, cuts everything off, and you get a nice clean finish on that. You can use the detail gouge if you use a safety drive. Your safety drive is your best bet, because if you get a catch, it's just going to slip and spin. And so I have used safety drives before, and they do exactly what they are designed to do. So, okay, let's make more sawdust. All right, so now we're just in a matter, this is just a matter of removing all the excess wood. Now, if you're turning a baby rattle and you remember to put the ball in the side, the ball's not going to hurt anything. With it spinning, it'll just pick a side, and centrifugal force will keep it. So the ball's not it's not a worry. Now, again, I like the skew because it rides on top, and I can see what I'm doing. All right, let's see what we got. All right, we're getting there. Now you can see how this is starting to get thin along here. That's your do not pass line. So we're getting close, but we want to be mindful, because I don't know if the camera shot will get that, but it's getting pretty thin right along in there. Okay, so we got to take more off here. We got some tear out there we need to clean up. So Now, you can probably hear it bouncing a little bit. Where it's bouncing, I'm not getting a very good cut there. So you want to try to keep it as smooth as you can moving across. So if that means you have to slow down a little bit. Okay. Okay. All right. So we're getting some, that's where it's bouncing on us, and we're getting some tear out right here. Pencil, there it is. So I'm not sure if you can see that on the camera, but right here, we've got some bad tear out. And it appears to be only that one. It's giving us a problem. So here's my base right along in here. Okay, and then our tops right along in here. So we're doing pretty good. I'm going to work on this top and see if I can get this smoothed out, and then I'll start working on the other two ends. So I'm going to take real light cuts. Let's see how we're doing. I can feel it chipping out a little bit, so we're still. Okay, so yeah, this is still giving us a problem right here. Right there. I'm not sure why, but it doesn't like it. At this point, if I had enough time, I would go take my skew back and put a new fresh edge on it. You could, and I may have to resort to that, but I would really prefer getting a nice clean cut with the skew. So this is small enough that we're not getting much flex. If it was larger, like the table, that would start flexing, and then I would rig up some kind of a sanding paper thing to do that. Let me get this. This is really bugging me, so I need to get that cleaned up. Yeah, one last cut, yeah. So I am getting a little bit of flex because I can feel it bouncing on the skew. And I'm just speeding it up so I can get a little bit cleaner cut. Okay, let's see if that's any better. Okay. That's a little better. Yeah, it's right there. It's better than it was. You know, worst case, like you say, Sue, I wouldn't go with 80 grit, maybe 100 grit. So you could take that and sand that out, and that would clean that up a little bit. Now these edges are sharp, so, and you can see in my design here, it's not straight. It's almost curved in a little bit. So if you wanted to go out, you would need to have. I would have need to have taken this curve and made it more pronounced, but I came in further. So like for this right here, I would need to have hollowed more of this out on this section. Okay, let's see if I can make, how are we doing on time? Are we 8:30? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and work on the tendon portions of this. So, okay. Well, shoot, that was not cool. So, as I was moving that over, it hadn't finished, and it caught my finger and popped that corner out. Oh, yeah, it's fine. Finger's fine. But so you can see it happened that quick. I mean, it was, I'd slowed the lathe down, but I was just too impatient, and I'm not even sure where that piece fits in. In fact, there's a couple other pieces missing. So it does get fragile. You have to, yeah, that's where that goes. Well, darn it, that's a shame. So, but you can see, I'm sorry? Yeah. Well, I did trim my fingernails. Okay, well, you can see how thin that got. Here, I'll pass that around. You can, so that does get thin, and you do need to take care. I can't believe that broke that like that. But that does show you how thin that wood gets. And I guess this won't go in the Christmas raffle. So, yeah, I can put some duct tape on it, I guess. I'll go ahead and do the tendon on this, just the fact so I can show you what's going on. Man, I really apologize. That's not much of a demo when I can't complete stuff. It's maple. This is maple. Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard maple, so it's not like it's a soft wood. But you can see it. I mean, I just had my finger there, and that's when I reached in here, it hadn't finished. And that's how easily that popped. So you do want to take care. So let's go ahead and, man, that really disappoints me. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Okay. I was even trying to be safe by turning the lathe off. Okay. So the top of this, yeah, it's just not going to work. It's not going to work. Well, shoot. I'm sorry, guys. This just did not work out tonight. Yeah. I always figured this is like the NASCAR races. Everybody goes to the NASCAR to watch the wrecks, right? Shoot. So this was a wreck.
Your credibility just went up.
It did. Well, yeah, what took me so long? Yeah. So, well, I think it's past design opportunity, Jimmy. Oh, gee. Yeah. Well, that was going to be what I was going to show is So I've got a 3/8 inch wrench that I've filed down the top of it. And what I was going to do is, with it mounted between centers, is turn this down further and just use that to gauge my 3/8 inch. And then that would fit in the hole that I've got for the base and the hole that I've got for the top. So that was the concept. So, okay. Well, I guess a short demo. I don't have any other pieces. So, yeah, yeah.